We've been theorizing about this for years, piecing together names, timelines, and family ties, and now everything is finally starting to make sense. Or is it? Spencer and Alex's son, Little John, seems like the perfect fit to be the grandfather of John Dutton, the stoic rancher we know so well from Yellowstone, played by Kevin Costner. But here's where things get really interesting. Based on what we know, Spencer's son would be the third generation. And Kevin Costner's John? He's from the fifth. That leaves an entire generation, a whole Dutton bloodline, completely unaccounted for. So what happened in between? Who carried the legacy? Who was lost to history? There's a missing chapter in the Dutton family saga. And to understand it, we need to go all the way back to where it truly began. Let's dive in. To understand the first four generations properly, we need to look at 1883 and 1923. These shows reveal 6 members of the first generation: Margaret, James, Cara, Jacob, and Claire. Margaret and James Dutton. James is the patriarch of 1883. He's a farmer from Tennessee who wants to build a new life out west with his family. Along with his sister, niece, wife, and their children, James sets out with a wagon train from Fort Worth, Texas. Honestly, 1883 is my favorite show in this universe. His wife, Margaret Dutton, is the confident and uncompromising matriarch we've come to admire, and honestly, fall a little bit in love with. She's more than just a rancher's wife. She's the heart of the early Dutton legacy. Fiercely protective, endlessly wise, and unapologetically strong, Margaret holds her family together through the brutal trials of frontier life. She doesn't just survive. She leads, she nurtures, and she commands respect without ever raising her voice. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm completely obsessed with her grace under fire. Eventually, James and Margaret establish a homestead in the unforgiving terrain of Montana. They endure tremendous loss, their daughter Elsa, whose tragic death broke hearts and symbolized the sacrifices this land demands. But they also build a future through their surviving sons, John Sr. and Spencer. In 1839, during a pursuit of horse thieves, James is killed. Alone and desperate, Margaret writes a heartbreaking letter to James's brother Jacob, pleading for help to save the land and raise her boys. But fate isn't kind. Before Jacob arrives, Margaret dies from hypothermia, cold and alone, a haunting end to one of the strongest women in the Dutton story. Enter Jacob and Cara Dutton, my favorite Dutton couple, hands down. They arrive in Montana not just to help, but to rebuild, to carry on the dream Margaret and James began. Jacob steps into the role of patriarch with quiet strength, while Cara becomes the new Dutton matriarch. Though they never have children of their own, their love for John Sr. and Spencer runs deep. They raise them as their own, instilling values of resilience, grit, and legacy. Jacob transforms the ranch into something enduring, becoming commissioner of the Montana Livestock Association, a role the Duttons proudly hold to this day. But let's not overlook Cara. She's a force of nature in her own right. When Jacob is ambushed and nearly killed in season 1 of 1923, it's Cara who takes charge, managing the ranch, making life or death decisions, and holding the family together with sheer determination. Their sacrifices aren't just acts of love, they're the foundation of the Dutton Empire. Every acre, every cattle brand, every fight for survival traces back to the strength of Jacob and Cara. Their legacy is more than land. It's a testament to what it means to fight for family, no matter the cost. Claire Dutton. Claire is James and Jacob's sister. She tags along with James's family in 1883. In the show, she's a widow. During their dangerous journey, she loses her daughter Mary Abel. After this tragic death, Claire takes her own life. I still can't forget that scene. It's so powerful, even though I never truly connected with Claire or Mary Abel. Here's a fun fact. Claire is played by Dawn Olivieri, who also appears in Yellowstone as Sarah Atwood. Second generation. Let's move on to the second generation. Most of these characters appear in 1923, but there's one special character, Elsa Dutton. Elsa is our soft spot. She's the daughter of James and Margaret, and the reason why the Duttons settled in Montana in the first place. During their journey, Elsa is shot by an arrow. As she lies mortally wounded, her parents decide to settle where she takes her last breath because neither of them wants to be far from her. Gosh, I had goosebumps even saying that. Emma and John Dutton. John was the only surviving son of James and Margaret Dutton to make it into adulthood, and seeing him alive in 1923 honestly feels like a small miracle. He's quiet, but grounded, a man shaped by grief, hard work, and the impossible expectations of carrying on the Dutton legacy. But as we've come to expect from Taylor Sheridan, no good moment lasts forever. Just when it seems like John is finally stepping into his role as the future of the ranch, he's brutally ambushed and killed by the family's enemies. It's not just a loss, it's a gut punch to the future of the Duttons. Emma, his devoted wife, is completely shattered. Her grief is so heavy, so consuming, that she no longer sees a reason to live without him. In one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the Yellowstone universe, she takes her own life. It's a tragic reminder of how deeply the Dutton women have suffered, not just from the violence of the outside world, but from the emotional toll of loyalty, love, and endless sacrifice. Their pain is woven into the land, and Emma's story is one of the most tragic threads. The couple's son, Jack Dutton, survives them both. He's the bridge to the third generation and perhaps a missing link to an even deeper mystery. Alex and Spencer Dutton. Now, let's talk about one of the most beloved couples in the Dutton universe, Spencer and Alexandra. Spencer, the youngest son of James and Margaret, was just a boy when his parents died. He's raised by Jacob and Cara Dutton, and although he grows up in a house full of love, the shadow of loss never really leaves him. By the time we meet Spencer in 1923, he's a battle-scarred veteran of World War I, emotionally distant, deeply haunted but still searching for meaning. He finds it unexpectedly in Alexandra, a spirited and fearless woman he meets while hunting in Africa. Their chemistry is instant, fiery, and unforgettable. Together, they become a beacon of hope in an otherwise brutal world. But peace is short-lived. When Cara's letter reaches him, Spencer makes the heart-wrenching decision to leave his new life behind and return to Montana. Their journey back is nothing short of epic, filled with danger, heartbreak, and forced separation. They promise to reunite in Bozeman, and when they finally do, it's beautiful. And short-lived. Shortly after giving birth to their son, Alex tragically dies. It's a loss that guts Spencer completely. He never remarries. But in a quiet twist of fate, he eventually has another son with a widow who offers him comfort in his grief. Spencer dies in 1969, heartbroken, lying on Alex's grave, never letting go of the one true love he had. And honestly, Taylor Sheridan owes us a happy ending for these two because they deserved so much more. Their son, however, lives on and with him. So does the Dutton name. Third generation. We've made it this far into the family tree, and now it's time to explore the third generation. And trust me, it's where things start to get really mysterious. Let's start with Elizabeth and Jack Dutton. Jack, the son of John and Emma, comes of age in 1923. Brave, hot-headed, and loyal, he's determined to carry the Dutton name forward, despite all the loss he's already seen. His fiancée-turned-wife, Elizabeth, is equally bold, a woman made for the wilds of Montana. But here's the theory: Jack might not be his actual name. There's a strong chance Jack is a nickname for John, and if that's the case, then he could very well be the grandfather of John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner in Yellowstone. But if not Jack, then who? There might be someone else in the shadows of the Dutton bloodline. I've got a theory about that, and it might just explain the missing generation. Stick around, because things are about to get even deeper. In 1923, Jack marries Elizabeth after she has a miscarriage. She gets pregnant again with Jack's baby. Sadly, Jack is killed, leaving Elizabeth on her own with a baby in her belly. After his death, Elizabeth leaves the ranch and returns to Boston to be with her family. In the show, we don't get to learn what happened to her or the baby afterward. Spencer's son Spencer and Alex's son, named John, gets to spend less than a day with his mother, which is heartbreaking on so many levels. Spencer also has another son from a widow, but we haven't seen him yet or learned his name. I believe we'll see Spencer's sons in 1944 and maybe even in 1969. There's a rumor that Spencer's son John is the grandfather of John Dutton, but that complicates things because we know for a fact that John Dutton is the fourth generation. This leaves a missing generation, considering that John belongs to the fifth generation. Now let's dive into Elizabeth and Jack's child. As I mentioned, Elizabeth was pregnant with Jack's child when she left the ranch. Since their child would be part of the fourth generation, it makes sense that he could be John II's grandfather. This might be the twist in 1944. Maybe Spencer and Alex's son doesn't survive. The final episode didn't reveal much about his fate, and since he was a premature baby, he could develop health complications that might ultimately lead to his death. But what do you think? Could Elizabeth return to the ranch with her child in 1944? If Spencer and Alex's son survives, then we might see him in his early 20s in 1944, meaning he and his love interest could have a child, Spencer's grandchild. Even if he doesn't survive, we still have Spencer's other son, right? Okay, that sounds a bit harsh. I'm sorry. Now we finally make it to Yellowstone. Evelyn and John Dutton, John is an uncompromising man who's willing to do anything to keep the land in the family. He has a complicated relationship with his children. But his wife, Evelyn, was the great love of his life. She died in a horseback riding accident when their children were young. After Kevin Costner leaves the show between the first and second halves of season 5, we see that his character is murdered by a contract killer hired by Jamie Dutton and Sarah Atwood. Now for the sixth generation, John I's children, Rip and Beth Dutton. Beth is the only daughter of John III. Even though she has a softer side, we mostly see her being relentless. She dedicates her life to her father, which makes her seem like the perfect child, but we all know she's not. She's married to Rip, John I's right-hand man, who also dedicated himself to the Dutton legacy. They're a strong couple. They don't have a biological child, but they've kind of adopted Carter, who belongs to the seventh generation in Yellowstone. Together, they raise their son, Tate, a symbol of hope for reconciliation. But season 5 shattered that peace. Monica heartbreakingly lost their unborn child in a tragic car accident en route to the hospital. The pain reshaped them, yet their strength has kept them going. This couple's story is far from over. In fact, they'll headline their own spin-off series, where we may finally see them find healing or face even more turmoil. Lee Dutton, the eldest son, never had the chance to grow within the story. His tragic death in a violent standoff with the Broken Rock Reservation during Season 1 was the spark that ignited much of the family's continuing battle. Though his screen time was short, his loss looms large over the ranch. He's the Dutton that could have kept things steady, had he lived. Now, Jamie Dutton, where do we even begin? I know some of you won't be happy with me for bringing him up, but love him or hate him, Jamie is a Dutton. Raised as John and Evelyn's son, he only learns of his adoption much later in life, throwing his identity into chaos. His discovery of his biological father set him on a darker path, one filled with betrayal, politics, and power plays. Jamie may be the most complex character in the entire series, and yes, I said it. His actions have made him public enemy number one for many fans, and I can't blame you. He's out of the picture now, but is he really gone for good? That's something I wouldn't bet on. Then there's Carter. This one pulls at the heartstrings. A kid who's endured more than most adults, he enters Beth and Rip's life like a stray with potential. But let's be honest, it's complicated. They gave him shelter, structure, and maybe even love, but never full acceptance. There's always this invisible wall, like they want him close but not too close. In the upcoming Beth and Rip spin-off, Carter's still around. But whether he's truly family or just a ranch hand with a room and a plate of food, that's still unclear. Personally, I think he deserves more. And finally, Jamie Dutton Jr., yes, controversial. Many fans don't even recognize him as part of the legacy, but technically he's part of the bloodline, however tangled that line may be. Will we ever see him again? That's up in the air. But imagine this, what if, years from now, he resurfaces and tries to stake a claim in Tate's empire? It's a stretch, sure, but this is the Yellowstone universe. Stranger things have happened. What do you think? Could these spin-offs shift how we view the Dutton family tree? Let me know in the comments. I know you'll have opinions on this one. Tate Dutton, he's the youngest of the Dutton bloodline, and his future is still a mystery. Will he ever reclaim the land from the reservation? Honestly, it's hard to say. But with the upcoming Casey and Monica spin-off, I'm hopeful we'll see Tate's journey unfold in powerful new ways, maybe even as the one who finally bridges the gap between two generations and two worlds. That's a wrap for now, but before you go, what's your theory? Who do you think is John Dutton? I's father? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, and for being a part of this amazing community. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your fellow Yellowstone fans, and of course subscribe for more deep dives like this. And hey, don't stop here, check out the next video on your screen. I promise it's just as wild as the Duttons themselves. See you there?